Meeting minutes, did anyone see anything needs correcting on the meeting minutes, or looked okay to me?
Not Larry's name. I checked that like three ways out of Sunday now.
But you did miss something.
Uh-oh. Oh,
Yep.
no.
On the letterhead. Larry represents Nassau County. If you look at the letterhead, it says Larry Rubenstein, Suffolk County, Vice Chair, Suffolk County.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
I got Andrew Albert's disease now.
We will change that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
sorry.
I was going to say that. I noticed that
I
on
think Bradley did
the,
that.
yeah.
Alrighty, so
It's kind of like with the Where's Waldo of minutes, so that, you know, we of meetings, so that everybody's paying attention.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's always me. That's the problem. It always happens to me. I'll blame it on Sheila because she's there.
Right.
you're gonna feel like you got
That's a
Dangerfield
Bradley.
syndrome pretty soon.
I didn't do that, I promise.
All right, so, well, I guess everybody's got a copy of the chair's report. Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we got Moynihan Station, but it really doesn't benefit us all that much. It's nice to go next door and look at, but doesn't do much for the Long Island Railroad riders. One thing that was a big plus for New Year's Day was our new entrance. Because as far as I'm concerned, we finally have a main entrance into the Long Island Railroad facility.
It's gorgeous if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice. But prior to this, it was like we're coming in the side door. You either coming in 32nd Street, going past Jersey Transit, then coming down the stairs into the, or when they gave us 34th Street, you feel like you're coming in the side door because you got to come down that long hallway before you finally get to the railroad. Here, you just come down the escalator and you're there. So that's nice. A big plus. We got positive train control on time. So no penalties on that. It's good. We oppose the fare increase, obviously. We wrote a letter regarding the Amtrak tunnels. I don't believe Newsday's printed it yet.
No.
And Lisa is, trying to do what you can, beating up Nassau County officials to get them to send some names to Albany and following up with Albany to see what's going on with the names that we have up there now. And basically that's it.
Jerry, was there anything? I know Cuomo unveiled a infrastructure plan. I didn't get to read all of the articles or the details of it, but it came out today. And there was, just in the headline of it, investment in MTA and the railroad. Anything that wasn't already on the docket that he's adding, or is it just?
No, but what surprised the hell out of me was he still wants to proceed with the putting in additional 8 tracks next door between 31st and 30th Street, taking that building and building that new station. I mean, God bless them, but I mean, that you're probably talking $1 billion or so. I mean, they spent $1.6 billion on Moynihan. I can imagine it's going to be at least $1 billion to do next door.
They're talking about moving Madison Square Garden also is one of the things he talked about to a block east.
Yeah, 1 block over, and then they're going to put 2 towers up. I mean, it's like.
So it's supposed to pay, I believe that's going to fund everything, but that was a new location. I mean, Hector, you may have more information on that, but that's a new location than he previously discussed in his conversations about the Empire Complex, which he announced last year.
Dropped $1 billion within the last, 5 or 6 years to renovate Madison Square Garden. $1 billion. I mean, it seems crazy that you invest that kind of money. And then, if everything goes to fruition, what the governor's looking for, they'll be out of Madison Square Garden in another 5 years, maybe. That's $1 billion for 10 years worth of, I don't know.
He also talked about Gateway and the 2 new East River tunnels as part of the investment. He talked about $306 billion infrastructure investment. Completion of 3rd track, 2nd Avenue subway, completion of 3rd track by 2022. Second Avenue subway to 125th Street, new rolling stock signals and ADA compliance. You didn't break it down anything further than that. So actually, I don't know if you have more information. Also, his budget is due to be released on Tuesday, around thereabouts. So there might be more details in some of that.
It just seems like a big wish list, and I just like, it'd be like me going to shop for a BMW. I can't afford one, and I could go around and look at all the, kick the tires and stuff. But wow,
Yeah. That's why I
God
asked,
bless him if he could pull it off, but I don't see
yeah,
it.
that's why I asked, because I didn't get to read through it, but I wasn't sure if he was just throwing things on the list that were like already in the works, or if there was new things, or they were just wishful thinking.
It's both, and there's not a lot more than reading through the list. There's a lot of conceptual, but a lot of concepts, some detail, but no, where's the money going to come from detail. And I would imagine that congestion pricing is going to be something that's going to factor into that. And some of the private-public partnerships that he's been espousing in his previous, well, he did one overview on Monday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he's done individual ones as well. So in each of his 4 state of the states.
Right, but like you said, there was no question saying where all this money is coming from, and he says, "I'd like this, I want this, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see this." I'd like to see it too, but now the question,
yeah.
look at the ridership. If you look at Moynihan Station, it was empty yesterday. My son was there, it was empty. Just pretty wild.
Alrighty, so
I'm sorry, but with the new Highline Park that connects it all, then people will be able to get in from the 9th Avenue side too.
alrighty. So that's it for the chair's report. Without further ado, let's move down to Hector, so Hector can give us his report.
Thanks, Jerry. The first thing was an update on, so we issued a release yesterday, the timetable change that's taking effect next week. We're kind of, based on a low, we've been running at 90% of normal service, but ridership has not been increasing. So we're kind of adjusting it. So during the peak periods, we made some adjustments there to make it to be a little bit more efficient. Some of the changes is like normally for other track work and other branches. So some of the impacts seem bigger, but some of that is because of construction work. But the main changes are mostly during the peak times.
Well, basically, it's like consolidating some trains or just eliminating a few in between trains, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have the room to do that on things like the Babylon branch. I'm sure there's a lot of tweaking you could do with that branch. I'm sure you have.
That's where most of the tweaks are. Where we do have the ability, and we're going to monitor it. So if it leads to more crowding or there's issues, then by the spring when we have to adjust the timetables, then we'll adjust then. But I mean, we've been under pressure to reduce service even further, but we're trying to, like, this change is only about 5%, decrease, roughly. We don't want to do anything too dramatic.
It's funny since I been on the bench for like the last 9 months, only been back about a month now. I saw the timetables and I said, "This is great." That they didn't touch me on the Montauk branch until I went to schedule a train home tonight and realized my 627 is no longer there. I guess that went in the first round of cuts. And my backup train for Hunters Point Avenue, if I miss my 4:30, I could just walk across the platform and get the 4:44, and I see that's gone as well. So I guess you got the Montauk branch on the first round. So thank you for leaving us alone this trip. Larry, Brian, any questions regarding the schedule adjustments? I mean, the trains are.
I guess everything it precipitates, if ridership comes up, the schedule will get changed again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of room on my trains that, I hate to say they're empty, but they are pretty much empty. So I
Yeah.
totally understand what they need to do.
Hector, is there going to be any staff cuts or anything in regard to this nature or no?
No. Right now, based on, we did get some federal funds, so based on that, for this year at least, we're not making any staff cuts.
And this year, you mean 21?
21.
Excuse me.
And also no major, besides these tweaks, we're not making, we don't plan on any major service cuts either, so.
Do you know anything about fare hikes? What's gonna happen next week?
He's not at liberty to say, right?
Did you bring your crystal
Correct.
ball?
It might be better than you think. It won't be as bad as you think, I can just say.
Okay, no hikes,
So-
yay.
I didn't go that far, but.
Well, if you leave the month, I'm buying monthlies now, so if you leave the monthlies alone, I'm okay.
I mean, that was one thing that was in the proposal. You noticed with mail and ride, I don't know if you noticed. And the proposal was, one of the things looking at it is moving away from the program as a cost saving measure. Because less people have been using it and it's very staff intensive. So we're looking to perhaps move it to just to the mobile version of it, and not mailing out the physical tickets anymore. So that's something that's going to probably be well, the board has to vote on it next week.
I mean,
in
if
terms
your
of-
facts and figures show that, it's not cost effective and it's not getting the use that it used to get, I mean, you have to make business decisions, so.
Yeah, we have to have both the railroad and Metro North have to have staff to, for the whole program, and then we have a vendor that that actually packs and ships it out. So there's a lot of costs there. The other thing was with COVID. So this past week we've been focused on, since last week, our employees are able to get tested. Not tested, I mean the vaccine. So we've been scrambling, just coming up with lists of the first wave of eligible employees, which is employees over 75, or any employees over 70, any employees in control centers, and also frontline workers. So we're, right now the testing that started yesterday at Javits, MTA has a certain amount of slots per, MTA wide, and so each agency has a certain amount. So like the railroad has 30 slots. So every day we're trying to fill those slots. So between now and January 31st, it's like 30 spots for railroad employees.
That's great. I was going to ask you that because I know Monday they opened it up to a whole world of additional people, and like teachers and stuff, like trying to get appointments is brutal. I mean, people are getting appointments in late March, early April. So I was just wondering if you guys had, and I guess you just answered that question. So you're getting 30 slots at Javits. That's 30 slots a day, right?
Yes.
That's not too shabby then.
And it's taking like 2 days. So we submit the names like 2 days in advance, and then those people get scheduled.
Okay, that's great.
And then it is voluntary, and then employees can go to their, they can get it on their own in other, their other venues, as long as they report it back, so we can track that. Because the key is you have to track that they got it, which vaccine they got, and then they have to get the second one, so it has to be scheduled. So we're, just keeping track of all that information.
Because now they're saying New York is going to be running out of. They have appointments up until April. We're going to run out of it before then.
Crazy.
Hopefully they'll increase production and send additional vaccines.
Hector, I think the only other thing we just like to get some word on, the existing capital projects. We know you're not really going to be starting anything new, but everything seems to be going okay. Third track moving right along on schedule and things of that nature.
Yes, third track, Elmont Station, and also East Side Access. Those remain. Those were funded, so those remain. Full speed ahead.
Beautiful.
It's only the new projects in the program that got approved last year. Those are still on hold.
Right.
Most likely, there will be some movement of some projects that are tied to federal funds. So we're probably gonna move ahead with some of those, so we don't lose those monies.
Can I
Great.
ask about Platform F service? Have you have any plans for initiating that?
There's no plans right now to start using it yet. The first use of that may be in the fall. So when the Islanders start playing at the new arena, we're committed to run 2 trains for every game during the rush hours to get there. So we're probably going to use Platform F for that. This since it's not being used, trains will be able to sit there and we can capture people from multiple trains as they transfer, before it leaves. So that the trains can just sit there for a while, as opposed to the other tracks. We can't have trains, idling too long.
Interject logic, you're just gonna confuse me now. No, I mean, that's perfect use for it. It's great.
Yeah, so the plan is, because for next October, we're only going to have the eastbound platform at 8 cars of the eastbound platform at Elmont completed. So that's going to be kind of limited use. So basically, Hempstead branch train heading eastbound, they'll be able to stop. I'm not saying they're going to stop, but they'll be able to stop. And then the following year, when the full station is completed with the pedestrian overpass and elevators, then at that time, we'll be able to stop any mainline trains that go by there during, for events as needed.
Great. Anybody else have anything for Hector, or?
Yeah, I had a point I wanted to make. This is Charlton, if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Joe.
Boss, loud and
Charlton, we
clear.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So first and foremost, I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Hope your holiday went very well. I do want to know, the Bowery Residents Committee, it's my understanding that y'all said at the November meeting that y'all were going to have them at the January meeting. Obviously, I called Sheila yesterday. She told me that they're trying to move it to either February or March. That's what I was told by the PCAC staff member. So my other point is, I went to Penn Station and we figured out what's going on. We had a long conversation with an MT police lieutenant who took us on a tour, and we actually walked the new station, the new Monaghan train hall, into the 8th Avenue complex, where most of the trouble is breaking out between the 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue side, and the new side. And one of the things that the police officer told me is that, the lieutenant told me, is that the reason why so many of the mentally ill and the homeless are coming in that area, and these are the people who obviously don't want to get any help, these are the ones who are antisocial, is one, because there's a shortage of caseworkers, and number 2, there are about 3 methadone chemical clinics in the area. We were also told last night that Dwayne Reed is giving out free needles to people, and we've seen people coming in and coming out of Dwayne Reed. So this is part of the problem, and Passengers United is planning to take action on this. I'll be releasing details to you guys, but I just want to say, on behalf of my membership, many of my members was watching the meeting and spoke at the meeting in November. They were not very happy with some of the events that unfolded and some of the comments that were made by the executive staff, not you, Lisa, but some of the others. And we just feel that this is a very complex situation. And, all of us as advocates, we need to come to the table to fix this, because Long Island Railroad passengers and New York City Transit passengers are paying a lot of money. And I just want to say, Hector Garcia, he's doing a very good job. He does, even though he doesn't return my phone calls from time to time, but that's okay, Hector. But we know Hector's the only person in community affairs now running things, because the other staff members were laid off. So my point is this, is that I think Hector, I think the PCAC, and I think Passengers United, we need to form a task force to meet monthly with the MTPD, the Bowery Residents Committee, and some of the other social agencies that the LIRR has contracted, to figure out what are we seeing as customers, what is the best way to approach the situation, and even to get the governor's office involved in this. This is a very serious problem. And the police are fed up. They're frustrated. The only good thing with the Monaghan train hall is they cannot come in there. But other parts of Penn Station now, they don't care. And it's a staffing issue. You're asking MTPD to cover more ground when they don't even have enough officers to do it. It's a problem.
So
So
Charles,
it's
may I ask you a question? Which police force did you speak with? Because Amtrak police force is the one that's supposed to
it
be
was an
patrolling.
MT police lieutenant who was very good to us, and we also spoke to several police officers who worked the night shift, and I could see the frustration in their faces because they told me, look, their hands are tied with the new legislation that's coming out, and we get all that, and some of it is also union talk, but there is nothing wrong with telling a person who's shooting up a needle to try to get them help. But one of the things that I was told was there's only so many caseworkers, and this is also goes for the subway system as well. There's only so many caseworkers who can drive around to a site and assist a person. Sometimes it's taking them 45 to 30 minutes just to convince one homeless person to leave the system. And now with COVID-19 and all the ambulances being taken up for COVID-19 calls, that also becomes a problem because like the ambulances, some of the EMTs are getting attacked by them. You want my honest opinion, and I know I'm going to get criticized for this. I think the governor needs to bring in at least the National Guard, at least one National Guard person in one entrance. And I was telling the lieutenant, I said, I always see the MTPD, 7 officers together in one area. No, split
Charles,
them
you
up.
have to breathe a little bit in between your sentences. Okay, you gotta breathe a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
I'm trying to rush for time.
Right. So is Jerry actually. So there is National Guard at Penn Station. Everybody sees them anytime. that
No,
you
not
go
at
there.
night. They're not there at night.
But it's
They're not in
so
the sections that
hold on.
we've
You
been in.
can't. The other thing, you can't force someone to go into a service. And I also, you said it's clear that that people don't want to go into into treatment or into service. You don't know that. Based on what you see, you just know
No,
what
that's
what
based on
you
what the
believe you
MT
see.
officer told me.
But that doesn't necessarily, okay, so that's the facts is that person knows it. It may be that there is an insufficient, that BRIC is not meeting its responsibility. It may, the IG did an entire
No,
review of
you're
different
absolutely
contracts.
right about that.
So we are hoping to have them, there are now an entirety of 3 PCA staff people, including myself and Sheila and one other. So we are, plus we have basically 5 councils to run, to attend to, and the other work that we do. So if we didn't get BRIC here for BRC here for this month, we will make an effort to get them here for next month. We need to have a little bit of understanding from everybody because there are 3 of us. So if it doesn't happen immediately, it will, but it just, we can't be everywhere all the time.
No, I get that, but one of the things I have with BRC is when you call them, they don't even pick up the phone. And several homeless people told me this as well, that some of the business cards that the caseworkers give them, when they call, no one's picking up the phones. No one's calling them back. It's basically a voicemail.
I mean, to me, I
So-
think that sounds like it's really important information to share with the IG's office, who will probably do a follow-up on the BRC contract and effort. Because
Right, but
none of us here are going to be able to enforce any aspects of it, but the IG's office has a real role to play in it.
right. And also we have a lot of concerns about a lot of things today. But I just do want to mention one thing to Hector. Hector, the 7:42 a.m. train that y'all cut at Queens Village in the morning, that train is very crowded even during the pandemic. And so why couldn't y'all have the train after that? There's a train that bypasses Queens Village that could have stopped there to pick up those passengers, because now we have like close to 35-minute, in one case I think it's like a 40-minute gap between trains. And that's something that you'll need to address, especially with Atlantic Ticket. A lot of people are using it. We're not happy about that. And we feel like the Babylon branch, there's still so many flyers there. With the main line in the evening, the problem is there's gaps between Call Place, Westbury, and some of those other stations. People have to wait 1 hour during rush hour for a train. So why couldn't y'all maybe cut one Babylon flyer and have a more local train stop there? At least have like a 25-minute or 30-minute gap versus an hour gap. So that's something you'll need to look at with the mainline schedules. But I can tell you my membership we've had meetings, we've had discussions about certain things, and we just feel like the Long Island Railroad commuters who are paying and New York City Transit passengers, they deserve answers, and I know, Lisa, I'm being hard on you, I know that, but it's just what people are telling us, that's all. But I mean, I appreciate all of you. I know it's a tough job, especially with the pandemic, and that's pretty much all I have to say. But thank you so much.
Can I ask Hector a question?
Go ahead.
Hector, one of the longtime issues for me, I mean, right now I'm not working, so I'm not commuting. But during my years of commuting, starting in the early 90s, if I had an issue, I would reach out, I'd send an email to Long Island Road customer service using the website. Now, for a while, there was also when we had a particular president who had her own direct link on there. I would send these emails, and anywhere from a week to 6 months later, I would get back a nonsense response that usually ignored what I had written. And sometimes it would have gone to somebody, say operational, and they would have put together a nonsense response. But either way, I'd be asking the same questions over and over again, never getting a viable response. Now, if I understand what was said earlier, community affairs has pretty much been gutted.
Well, that's unfair. Well, so no, I had 2 staff members. They left
Okay.
for other opportunities on their own over the summer.
Okay. Okay,
But
so
that's just I mean, I mostly deal with elected officials and kind of bigger community issues that kind of bubble up. But our call center and our corporate communications that answer customers' inquiries, that unit is still intact.
okay, so saying that they're still intact, but the issue is very simple. You write them, you say such and such a problem. Let's say I live in East Northport. So one of the problems I would have every single morning is that the train would stop in a different part of the platform. And part of the issue is the markers would disappear, or the train operators would ignore them. I'm just using this as an example. Or I would talk about how the 2 displays on that platform are so far apart that if you're anywhere near the middle, you can't see a train display, let alone hear it on the broken down speakers. Now, maybe it's been fixed since, but my point was, if I would report this, I would just get a BS answer back like, well, we're only required by federal law, blah, blah. And I didn't want to hear about federal law. I wanted to hear about a solution. Or while walking by the station building and you have these lights shining upward from the sidewalk into your face so you can't see at night, I would report these things. And if I got a response, it would be nonsense. And most of the time, I wouldn't get a response. Or I would get a response that basically completely ignored what I was asking. This is a long time problem. I'm not just talking about individual issues. What would it take to get the group answering these questions, the people they refer them to on the branches or elsewhere, to actually do the job properly in responding to people's issues and problems? Or can we come up with another mechanism that bypasses people who don't want to do their job?
We've been trying to address that the last 3 years of not giving BS answers. So if you have any examples of recent ones you got, we could fix that. I mean, usually if somebody says what you just said in a specific example of something at a station, my first response is, I'll go meet you out there with the station manager, with engineering, and we'll look at it and we'll see if there's anything that we can do. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, but we'll at least look at it.
I do appreciate that. It's just making sure that the team and the people, they send out things, say, to a branch manager.
Mhm.
And 3 months later, the branch manager responds with a nonsense response. That's my issue, not the individual problems. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know if I have enough patience, I can wait till one of these monthly meetings and bring them up.
No,
But-
but if it's taking that long, you should let me know, because it shouldn't be taking that long to get a response.
Okay, is there a way for me to reach you? I mean, right now, I'm not commuting, so it's not likely to come up. I'm unemployed, I lost my job and
Mhm.
still, like everybody else, still looking. But how would I reach you if I did need to?
I'll give you my email. H
Okay.
Garcia.
Give me a second. Not like this. Okay, Hector.
H Garcia at LIRR.org.
H. Garcia at LIO. That's easy enough. Okay, I appreciate that. And if I do run into something, and I will still use the normal mechanism, but if the normal mechanism doesn't work, I will reach out to you.
Sure.
Make sense?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, Hector, we thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Actually, I had a quick question for Hector. Sorry, to interrupt. Hector, quick question. I don't want to waste that much time, but as you know, the 2:11 p.m. train from Penn to Long Beach, it's been almost a year now. This is the express train I used to take for leisure to go to Jamaica. Is there a chance by the end of the second quarter or the beginning of the third quarter this year, around late spring or early summer, that train could possibly be restored? I'm not asking now because first quarter 2021's done. We know that's a given, but any chance by then?
I mean, it depends on ridership and our financial situation.
All right,
You know.
because hopefully with the new administration, things will be looking up and there is a good chance that train's going to come back, because everybody knows by now, even Charlton knows this. This is the train I used to take to connect with the Q30 Jamaica.
Andy, if I may, right now with the Port Washington branch and all the trains that have been eliminated in Queens because of the budget cuts, that's probably more of a priority that Hector and the PCC needs to focus on right now. Because when the new schedule comes out, I guarantee you, passengers in Queens are going to be very upset, because there's literally 45-minute to an hour gaps in Port Washington train service during the morning rush hour. What's going on, Hector, with that?
I'm being first made aware of this.
Well, these are the budget, the service adjustments, right? That were.
The new schedules are out. They
Yeah.
are
Yes.
available.
Our vice president, Matt Camper for Regional Rail, he went through the schedules, and also John Michno went through all the train schedules yesterday, the new ones. And we found that in Bayside, which is a busy station for the Port Washington branch,
Which
they've
links
cut
up to
a
the
lot of
Q31.
they've cut a lot of the trains. And what they do is they have express trains bypassing Bayside. I don't get that. Why don't you all have that train stop at Bayside, pick up people, and then maybe you could skip some stops, but they're literally skipping a lot of the Queen stops. So when this whole consolidation was done for the rush hour service, was community consideration even looked at, or were train travel, peak loads looked at, or whatever?
It's a combination, because that's one part of it. The second part of it is the crews themselves, and the third part is, in areas where you have single track, trains have to get past certain points. There's timing issues, though, that certain trains can't make all the stops because there'll be conflicts. And in terms of the second part with the crews, we're trying to reduce service for a budget exercise, but if you make too many cuts, then you have to cut employees too. So we're trying to balance three things.
Oh, and overnight, people are still being charged on the Long Island Railroad between Penn Station and Queens Village. The conductor, he's charging people, and the passengers are showing him on their phones, the website, where it says the LIRR is cross-honoring Metro cards from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. So the conductor told them the E-trains are running now. We're no longer cross-honoring Metro cards. The E-train and the overnight shutdown has nothing to do with each other. So Hector, you'll need to send out mobile alerts to the conductors again, because the conductors are getting into arguments, and it's like, passengers are just giving up and are just paying, but it's not right, Hector. It's, I'm sorry.
Thank you for raising that,
Yeah, I'm sorry,
especially
guys. I
because
know.
there's no
And
1
Valentin,
to
we'll
5
do a
service.
follow-up with
Hold
the
on,
board.
guys, hold on,
Okay.
hold on.
Guys,
This is Jerry.
Yeah, this is, guys, what you should do going forward, because it's kind of like, it's almost like your meeting and not our meeting.
No, I
Uh,
apologize.
No, but just what you should do is get your information together. Now you got Hector's email address. Put the information together, nice, concise. Here are your concerns. Boom, boom, boom. If you went through the schedules, lay it all out. This is what, and then this way he can, rather than in a quick 15, 20-minute segment of this meeting, he'd have time to look it over, get back to you, maybe make a couple of phone calls if necessary, and you don't have to wait another month to get an answer. So
That makes sense.
that's what I'm saying. I know you guys have some legitimate concerns, and especially something like that, if the railroads cross honoring Metro cards from 1 to 5 a.m. and the conductors aren't aware of it. But these are things, put it together. It'll be a lot easier to address, and
And we're showing the conductors, like passengers told me, they show the conductor the phone, their cell phone. And the conductor was like, "Oh, I don't believe you. You took a picture of it. Why would a passenger go through all this? Does this
Okay.
make any sense?" But I do want to make one point. And we've noticed that at the PCAC LIRR meetings, it's only you guys. Where are the rest of the members? Why don't you put
This
us on the PCAC?
is the membership, Charlton. This is one of
But-
the issues that we continue to have.
Put us on the PCAC. Why is it Passengers
It's not
United
so
members are
there
not
are,
on there?
hold on. There are a number of names that have been put forward by elected officials that are in the governor's office. It takes quite some time to be vetted by the governor's office.
Right. And the problem is,
But-
we also have one point we want to say. We've noticed that you guys are doing press conferences for the Riders Alliance members. They don't attend meetings. They don't help in the community. We rarely see them. So a lot of my membership is complaining to me that they're upset about this. And if you're having a
Well,
press
Charlton, let's
conference, we'd
take,
like to
why
be
don't we,
invited.
why don't we have a separate conversation about that? So that
Sure.
that doesn't need to be part of this meeting conversation.
Sure. And if anyone would like to call me, I'll give out my number.
Why don't you put it in the chat, please?
Put it in the
Okay,
chat
I'll do
box
that.
and- Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right,
thank you.
folks, at this point, I think that will conclude it with Hector. Hector, again, we appreciate your time and effort to be here with us.
Thank you, Hector.
No problem.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Hector.
Hector. You're the best.
Hey, we just
Looking
have,
forward to good news next week.
hey, we have one quick thing of old business to review, and then at that time, I have to step out, and I'll turn the meeting over to Larry, and I believe Sheila and Lisa will be discussing a white paper that they're about to release. The one bit of old business I just want to go through before I step out is we are still trying to do something about the money that's been tied up in WageWorks. With everything that's been going on in Washington, we're not exactly on anybody's front burner. Hopefully, once the inauguration is done, we'll be able to do something with that. Lisa, have you heard anything back from anybody, or?
I have not. It's been a challenging time, to say the least, to reach folks. And then the last person I spoke with who was helping to sort of navigate the maze was bouncing between staff in different offices who were saying, let me contact, of the elected officials who were saying, let me contact the staff in the other office. So
That's what I
hopefully,
figured. So hopefully after the
hopefully after,
inauguration, things will settle down and.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to Larry.
All right, and I guess I'm going to turn it over to Sheila to discuss the white paper report. I guess
There you go.
Hello, Lisa, do you want to give the intro? Or should
yeah,
I?
sure. I'll give an intro.
Okay.
So Sheila has been working since April on developing a white paper on on getting riders back on board, steps that the MTA can take to help boost rider confidence. It's really developed in the construct of the need for additional federal funding. There was some good news today that FEMA restoration will begin, so that hopefully it'll be 100% retroactive for all of the different uses that the MTA has of it. So that, I know for New York City totals about $1 billion, but that's still not sufficient to continue doing. You still have to come up with the money to even be reimbursed for it. So Sheila's looked at a number of different steps in a number of different categories, and about actions that can be taken, acknowledging the tremendous work that's already been taken. So we initially were looking at distributing it next Wednesday, but that is a very big day with a lot of other newsworthy events. So we are anticipating a next Friday launch, and we will get, and we'll share that with the members before we do that. And Sheila, do you want to give an overview?
Yeah, so I looked at different measures the MTA can take to make riders feel more comfortable riding transit and welcome them back. Reading a lot of literature and looking to systems that, were at one point ahead of us. So the categories that, and it also looks at the importance of federal funding. But the categories of recommendations include things like transparency and communication, making the cleaning and disinfecting regime public, capacity control and social distancing, enhanced mask distribution, creating a rider return campaign, encouraging spread out ridership, and then improving bus service. Oh, it looks at all of the MTA agencies, so Metro North, Long Island Road, and New York City Transit. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited for you guys to read it. And yeah, that's about it.
One thing that I always said, and that I did this when I testified, I think that the MTA also, to get ridership back, they've got to be a little more succinct, to the point, and brief in informing riders what they have done, to make things safe. In other words, Hector, I've seen these press releases coming out, and they're giving you all this technical specifications about what they've done and blah, blah, blah. People don't read a 2-page report. They need to know, we changed the filters. They're more discreet at what they're screening out. We're cleaning the train, just something that the riders can read, 3-4 sentences, not 2 pages, to try to get riders back. The reality is, in my opinion, the riders aren't going to come back for years, if it's going to get ever back to what it was before. But in order to attract riders, first of all, obviously the fare increase is going to be a killer, whatever that will be. But I think there's got to be an effort from the railroad to be succinct, to the point of what's going on. There are pictures that are still being published on Facebook, the Fail Riders group, of people without masks. I don't know if conductors are saying anything, things like that more people are concerned about right now. I mean, I know yesterday there was something happened in Freeport, and from what I heard, it was about people, they refused to wear masks and police were called or something like that. But I think the riders have to just know what the MTA is doing, not in a 4-page report, in a 1-paragraph report, something short, sweet, and to the point.
So one of the things that Sheila looks at and makes a recommendation for is a well visualized dashboard, so that people can see things like when the stations were clean, when trains were clean, what Sheila, I've just lost my train of thought.
I think the overview is another thing I forgot to mention, is that what we've realized, maybe unsurprisingly, is that a lot of the things the MTA should do is things that they should have already done pre-pandemic. Like give better information to riders about, where your train is. I mean, thankfully the LIR has that now, but that's something that still would have been useful previously, pre-pandemic, but now becomes even more important. Or other transparency measures. Yeah, so like one was posting when the station was last clean online and actually inside the station. Or I can give some other examples. Oh, yeah, continue.
Actually, crowding is something that comes up regularly. And one of the, and actually you may know this, in the governor's construction or infrastructure announcements today, do you know if that includes any improvements to stairways and platforms in Penn Station? Because that's been something we've heard about as well.
Not sure about that.
That would be nice. Can you call him?
Now?
Hold on, let me text. I'll send a text.
Hector, you're breaking up.
I'm not saying anything.
Right.
I'm speechless.
It's okay, Hector. We understand.
So we will share that with you. But Larry, yes, you have raised that before, and that is clear, concise communication across the agencies, I think, is helpful.
All right, is anybody else, Cecilia, do you have anything else to add, or Lisa, do you have anything else to add on the report? And we'll just look forward for that to come out.
Great.
All right,
There
does
are some
anybody
really
else-
cool things that the Transit Tech Lab is working on with the MTA. So they're doing some studies and some field work that'll launch in February. So that's good to keep an eye on too.
All right, so Hector, when will the report, or I guess at the next board meeting, was it next week? Is it next week, or when do they
It's-
vote on the fare increase?
The board meeting is next Thursday.
It's Thursday, okay.
Right. Testimony has to happen on Tuesday, so it'd be nice to know about what the fare situation was going to be before we had to testify.
And I will be testifying.
Yeah, real quick, I want to know, city ticket, the city ticket program, it's now $4.50, right? What I want to know is it was originally supposed to be at $2.75 or $3, but every fare increase, it keeps going up and up and up, right? So what I
No,
want
from the beginning, city ticket has always been $4.25
Right.
It has
never
not
was
changed.
$2.
since since the early 2000s.
I can look back. I think it was at one point, it was $3. I remember that.
I mean, because
I've
we
been
also
using it for-
proposed it, so we did
This
never
was before
propose
you
275.
came in.
No,
This was
yes, but
Okay.
PCAC has proposed it. What proposed it?
No, I know PCAC did propose it. You're right about that, but you can ask Andrew about that, because when it came in, that's how it always was. It was always supposed to be $1 minimum, $1 above the subway fare, but it keeps going up. And also with Atlantic ticket, it's $60. But the problem is, I can take an express bus, pay $63 to go in the city. So I feel that, why is Atlantic ticket $60, but it's only taking you to Brooklyn? It should probably be like $50 or $45 to attract
so
more
this-
customers.
Is good testimony for the MTA board. That's the right venue to have fair policy conversation about.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, but you guys are the PCAC and y'all have Andrew Albert. So that's why I mentioned that to you as well.
Okay. Right. Yeah. It's still a
Different
board
council.
call on the funding.
All right, so does anybody else have any other new business? Then if that's it, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Brian,
Right,
no,
right,
not you,
right.
Andy. Thank
Second that, Larry.
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All
All
right.
in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for coming,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you at the next
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you
Good
so
night, guys.
much. Have a
Bye.
good one. Thank you.
Looking forward to
Bye.
Thursday. Best